Hi! On the Woodpecker today, René and I are stripping off the varnish of those chairs. But on the most intricate part, we're going to use baking soda. A distant relation asked me if I could strip and varnish his chairs. I already knew that this wouldn't be a walk in the park just by seeing all those thin imitations and all the nooks and crannies on those chairs. I know what you're probably saying right now. You don't know what you just walked into. Yes, I know. So we began by cleaning the shop so we could have some space to erect a spring tent, which I bought just for this job. Then I take out the soda blaster from its packaging and assemble it. After testing to make sure there's no leak, we're ready to give it a go. But before being able to use this, we have to fill it with soda. This is quite slow because the hole to fill it is quite small. We have to use a funnel and it's not very fast. Finally, we can begin. René is inside the tent and strips the hard-to-reach places while I'm outside and sand everything my sander can reach with 120 grit sandpaper. When the soda tank is empty, which takes about 20 minutes, she collects the soda that's on the floor, sifts it to catch most of the varnish that flew away. This is a sample of what is being sifted. So we recycle the soda to fill the tank again. Then it's time for another sanding session. This is what the chair looks like when I give it to René. She can clearly see the places that need to be blasted. After filling the tank a couple of times, I go out and get a bigger funnel to help fill it more rapidly. Using the same soda over and over breaks the particles that become smaller, so it's harder to fill the tank. We have to use a screwdriver to push the soda into the bottle. This adds more time to the whole process. When René finishes a chair, it's far from being over, because I need to resand it everywhere with 220 grit sandpaper. I begin with all the places that my round pad can access. Then I put the triangular attachment and sand all that is not sanded. In fact, this part of the job takes about 2 hours per chair. This gives time to René to soda blast the next chair. But as you can see, even with the tent, there's dust everywhere. So to give René a break from the dust, I always ask her to check if my sanding is okay. While we're working, the dust filter is working full blast. As you can see, it's not a whim. Each morning before we start the sanding, I blow away the dust on the sanded chairs. Before making new dust, we clean them and I bring them inside our basement, far away from the shop dust. After a while, I tried to suck the dust in suspension inside the tent. As you can see, it's not 100% efficient. After 5 days, René has finished soda blasting. So, she starts the unpleasant task of cleaning the tent and the shop. Meanwhile, I still have 2 hours to go before I'm done with the final sanding of the last chair. When I'm done, I take the leaf blower and blow off all the dust in the shop. It's horrible. There's dust everywhere. It's even hard to see each other. To evacuate this dust, I open the door and all the windows. The next morning, all the dust has settled and we vacuum everywhere. A lot of people damp the wood before spraying water-based varnish to raise the wood. I never do this, but I decided to try it. After spraying water everywhere, I let it dry for a couple of hours before lightly sanding the raised grain. Then I spray the first coat of varnish. I let this dry overnight. The next morning, I'm so disappointed. I thought by raising the grain, I wouldn't have to sand after the first coat. But I was wrong. I still have to sand it as if I didn't raise the grain. It's why I usually never do this. Sanding the varnish and cleaning the chairs take another hour and a half before I can spray the second coat of glossy varnish. When I'm done, I wait 2 hours and lightly scrub the finish before spraying the last coat of varnish, which is satin. Those are all the chairs finished. I can guess what you're thinking. How long did it take you to do this? Well, together, René and I worked 60 hours to strip and varnish those chairs, which means 10 hours per chair. And this is with the help of the soda blaster. Lucky for us, we had it. We still have a half bag of soda left. The rest is inside the tank and in the dust collector. Here we can see the difference between the new soda and the recycled one, which went several times through the process. The old soda has the texture of flour, unlike the new one, which looks more like salt. To help us fill the tank, I modified the funnel by cutting the bottom of a small one, putting it in a bigger one, and melting them together. René would have liked to have this electric valve to stop blasting, but this was just an afterthought. Soda blasting requires a lot of protection. First, some gloves and a good respirator mask to avoid inhaling the soda dust. But that's not all. You need eye protection. This kind of protection is like wearing nothing. So René used this kind of goggles, but it was still burning her eyes. We had to buy this kind, which are way better at keeping the dust away. I'm suggesting you make some tests before using a soda blaster. Just look at the mess it made on this piece of cedar. We also learned the hard way that it creates a lot of dust. It's better to do this outside, but here in January, that's out of the question. This was how we stripped those chairs by blasting some soda. Tell me if you've ever done this, and see you soon for another episode of The Woodpecker.